Hello everyone, it's Gigabeef here, and today we're going to see how much of an improvement we get by installing the Ryzen 7 3800X3D, the fabled miracle chip for Escape from Tarkov. This is replacing my old 3700X, and we're going to do some benchmarking to see how much of a difference it makes. It's been a while since I tinkered with a PC though, because the last time that I needed to upgrade, we were going through the middle of a global chip shortage. Of course. The only way to get a 30 series card here in the UK at that time was to get a pre-build, so for the first time ever, I ordered off my current PC from a well-renowned UK computer specialist. The downside? Well, I haven't done any PC building for probably about 4 years, and I have no idea how this one was put together, and I'm very rusty, so we have to get this upgrade done without breaking anything. Oh, and did I mention that this is my only PC? So, is it better work? As AMD's socket AM4 comes to the end of its upgrade cycle, the 5800X3D is often bandied around as the solution for gamers who don't want to splash out on a whole new rig but eke out some more performance for their existing setup in EFT. I'm no technical specialist, but it does appear that the larger cache in this CPU makes a big difference for games specifically, and in particular Tarkov, hence all of the glowing reviews across the internet. Now everyone's setup is different, so your mileage may vary, but I'm using an RTX 3070 GPU with 32GB of 3600MHz RAM alongside our two GPUs. But first, it's time to upgrade our BIOS. Well, here we are, my least favourite screen in computing. Apparently in 2022 we still have to use a USB drive to do this. The last time I used one of these was probably about 15 years ago, so wish me luck. Once we're finished, we're going to look at 5 scenarios. 4 out of 5 of these are in offline mode, but this simply allows us to better control the raid conditions. Online, we don't know whether bosses have spawned, how many PMCs there are, and other factors, so it can be more random, but offline should be fairly representative, even though our system is having to do more of the work simulating AI bots. This means that the frames seen in these tests will possibly be even higher in the real world. With our BIOS updated, it's time to install this guy. Isopropyl alcohol, propan-2-ol. There's the old CPU. Okay, so moment of truth.
What's this new CPU installed?
Let me go and check what this means. This isn't an issue. You just press, and then it just registers the new keys. Let's see. Well, it's loading. That's good, I guess. Finally, I also needed to turn XMP back on again to get our RAM to full speed in the BIOS, but otherwise I didn't tinker with any other settings. So starting with the staple, we have customs with regular AI. Then I tested both factory with regular AI as well as factory on the notorious Horde mode, and one of the more interesting maps for performance, which is Lighthouse. Here we will have bots and bosses selected, i.e. rogues and the goons, as this is where the performance issues normally stem from for this map, in particular when playing offline. Finally, a fun test for the live servers is the Scav on Labs event, which was running as of the recording of this footage, but it will have ended by the time this video goes out. Tons of scavs are being allowed to spawn on the map, so it's a great one to test our new system. In each of these scenarios, here's the average FPS that I had before using the 3700X, and here is what my average FPS is with the 5800X3D. We can see that the largest percentage improvement is on factory with Horde mode, going from 54 average frames to 101, a 47 frame increase or 87%, which is insane. Regular customs was actually very similar, with another 47 frames or an 81% increase too, but the one that I'm most excited about is Lighthouse. The lackluster performance on this map can even be enough to put people off playing it, myself included, and I used to run at under 60 FPS almost all of the time, even without scoping in. We can see that in the testing, we've gone from a 49 average to 73, which is now actually playable. What's more, the 1% lows, i.e. the worst performing frames overall, have been boosted similarly as well. This is possibly even more important. The lows are what makes Tarkov feel really sluggish sometimes, and we can see that we got an approximate 50% boost in frames for this too, which is really nice. In particular, again on Lighthouse, the worst 1% of frames now averages 39 FPS with AI on offline mode, up from 25 previously, which to the player feels so much better. Interestingly, regular factory had the smallest boost of all of the maps, but still got a decent boost to the 1% lows. Presumably this is because on factory with a low AI count, the 3700X probably wasn't as bad of a bottleneck as elsewhere in Tarkov. As for our online only test, the labs event got a 60% and 50% boost to average FPS and the 1% lows too. We mentioned before that online raids are probably likely to get higher FPS, and labs is a decently performing map anyway, but it did surprisingly well despite the ridiculous number of entities during the labs is free for scavs event. Now, I will admit that these tests weren't super scientific. What I should have done is run each of these scenarios separately, one where I never scope in and the other where I do for the entirety of the frame sample, because as most people are well aware, the picture-in-picture nature of scopes in Tarkov usually takes off about 20 frames. So unfortunately, depending on how much I use my optic in each of these samples will have an impact on the average FPS that I didn't think about until I was finished. But we can take a look at some specific examples and get a handle on how this feels practically. So in this clip, I'm running through Lighthouse on the west side of the road camp, and we're pretty consistently stuck around 40 to 50 frames. As soon as I scope in, we're down to 35, but you can see the 1% low goes to 6 temporarily, which is the numerical equivalent of feeling a big stutter when you ADS. Compare this to exactly the same place as the X3D. As we trundle about, we're now stable at about 70 to 75 FPS, and when we scope in, we drop to around 55. This is higher than I was getting unscoped previously, which is pretty nuts. So is the X3D worth it for Tarkov? In my opinion, if you have an AM4 board, the performance boost is significant enough in a few important places to make the game feel smooth where otherwise it's noticeably laggy. If all goes to plan, we'll get streets in the next patch, and I personally didn't want a repeat of Lighthouse, so hopefully this upgrade will keep my frames decent even if the map is not optimised particularly well on launch. So as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, hit all of the buttons if you enjoyed the video, and as always, have fun in your raids.